What's going on, pursuers? My name is Thomas Carney, and welcome to the Pursuit of Calling podcast, where my goal and purpose is to provide the strategies and tools needed to successfully pursue and discover your God-given calling. Today, we're talking about how to discover your calling faster. Let's dive in. What's going on, pursuers? Okay, welcome to this episode of the podcast. So, what are we talking about today? I'm talking about what I've been working on. This is usually the recap episode for the month, and there's just been so much happening. In this last month, I really just wanted to catch you up on what's been going on with my life, but mostly with what the vision of the podcast and my coaching is going to be, or is right now. So first thing right off the bat, I mentioned it before, but pursuit.of.calling.com, it's live, it's ready to go. Guys, there's some updates that are going to be rolling out to that website moving forward, but it's ready for you to check out and to let me know what you think. But more importantly, you need to go and get your free gift. It's directly from me to you. It's called the Discover Your Calling Planning Guide. It's there to unlock your true calling with, you can unlock it with this free guide designed to save you time by providing focused, actionable steps to discover your calling or your purpose faster. So guys, it's free. You just have to provide your name, your email, and you will get a link to send you to this planning guide. It's there. I put it together throughout the last few weeks so that I could give you guys more value and help you guys, like it said, discover your calling faster. So then you can pursue it well and with excellence. So what else has been going on this week? It kind of just came out with that big thing. There's, I've already said the name is the Discover Your Calling Planning Guide, and what I've done essentially, it's a list of questions. It's not a test, but it's a list of questions and prompts and reflective practices designed to help you think about your calling in a way that you never have. It's to give you the ability to guide yourself back through your life over the things that you like to do, the things that you're good at, and find that intersecting point. I believe I've talked about it on a previous episode, but I believe your purpose is at the intersecting point between what you're good at and what you love to do. However, there's still a little bit more to it, right? There's still a little bit more to it between just what you're good at and what you love to do, because you can find plenty of things that people are good at and what they love to do, but it not necessarily be the purpose that's on their lives. There's plenty of people that love playing video games. I love playing video games. I don't much right now, but I love video games. And at some of them, I was pretty good. I don't think that definitely wasn't the calling on my life. Maybe it is for some people, but for me, it's not, right? It's definitely not the calling on my life. There's more to it than that. And as I was preparing for this episode, I was reminded of this Japanese saying or practice or word called ikigai. I'm going to say that again. It's ikigai. And if I'm saying that wrong, if anybody thinks I'm saying that wrong, check me. But ikigai, and this is a Japanese. I took this from an article I found online about ikigai. It's a Japanese concept that unites the joy of life with a series of purpose. With a sense of purpose. My apologies. The term is a combination of the Japanese words iki, to live, and gai, reason, which together signify a reason to live. While there isn't a direct translation of ikigai in English, this concept encapsulates the idea of finding joy in life through purpose in a unique way. Rooted deeply in Japanese culture and history, ikigai holds belief in the value of life and the potential for happiness when you're aligned with your purpose. This is exciting. This philosophy has guided many toward a meaningful life with intention. Now, when we were talking about ikigai, that gives you kind of what ikigai is and what they're talking about when they say reason to live. But there's 4 sections that fall into this category that make up the ikigai. these sections are what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. There are the intersecting points of these 4 things. And in the middle of that, that's your ikigai. That's your reason to live. That's your purpose. That's your calling. And I actually have, if I can find the tab real quick. Oh, I'm pretty sure I just exited out of it. Never mind. Where we go. So on my computer, you can't see it right now, but I have a diagram on my screen of ikigai provided by calm.com. And it goes with what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And now there's a few other intersecting points here, because this is like, the circular Venn diagrams that you see. There's not just the intersecting points in the intersecting point 1 in the middle, but there's intersecting points between what you're good at and what you get paid for, and that's your profession. There's an intersecting point of what you can get paid for and what the world needs, and that's your vocation. There's an intersecting point between what the world needs and what you love. That's your mission. And then there's what you love and what you're good at. And that's your passion. That's your passion. And then when you intersect all of these, you bring all of these together, that is your ikigai. That is your reason to live. And that was a lot. That was a lot of stuff. I want you to go back and re-listen to that, and I also want you to look up ikigai. I'll provide a link to the article I read to learn a little bit more about it, so you guys can go back over ikigai and learn more about it yourself and incorporate this philosophy into your life. However, I also want you to go and check out, like I referenced before, that free resource, because that's going to help you find your ikigai, find your reason to live, discover that faster than you would have without a tool like that. So, as a quick, not quick, but as I want to go over a couple of the things that are going to be in that guide, so you know what you can expect. So there's a few sections, but 3 of the sections are there's a strengths assessment, a purpose reflection, and values in action. So the first thing in the strength assessment is it says, write down 3 things that you're naturally good at. See, we're kind of on the same lines as the ikigai. For me, how I would work that in, I would say, how I would write those things down. I say, I'm good with working with technology. Ever since I was little, I've loved tech. I, even on my first laptop, I don't know why, but I was diving into the command prompt. And that's what I remembered whenever I was in college, and I was going back on my life. I was currently in my freshman year of college. I was an education major, and I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. That's not for me. And I found that out pretty quick. And I thought back on my life, and like, man, what am I actually good at? And what am I good at? And what do I enjoy? And what am I passionate about? And I was like, well, I've always liked computers. I guess computer science sounds cool. I didn't know what programming was. It just sounded cool. And now I love developing. So like, it all kind of falls along in that line. Like, we have these purposes on our lives, these passions put on our hearts. And I believe that passion comes from God. That passion goes in your heart, and it's meant to guide you and influence you towards your calling. Your passion isn't your calling, but your passion plays into your purpose. Plays into your ikigai. I love that word so much, ikigai. So the next thing I would say, on the things I'm naturally good at, is that I love learning. I feel like I'm naturally good at learning, and I believe it was kind of formed in me from a young age from a young age by my dad. That's where a lot of these things are going to be in you. It's going to be what was I doing when I was young? What things was I just naturally good at out of the womb? And even though I couldn't speak well, my dad had me reading books. That I've talked about this before. I've talked about reading all the time. Like, you need to start reading books. But my dad had me reading books by people like Zig Ziglar, and these were like big, like influential speakers of their day. And I was reading books, and I was in like middle school. I didn't know what I was reading, but it was planting seeds. And like, and that seed planted, and I'm just, it just naturally, like, I think that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here right now talking to you through a podcast, is because my dad had me reading books when I was a kid. Dude, I'm talking so fast right now, but guys, like, this is important. So the next thing, now this is where it gets difficult. You have to write down 3 things you're naturally good at. You have to actually think about you have to talk good about yourself for once. Man, that's kind of hard. Well, I hope I'm not calling anybody out. But but yeah, guys, there's 2. And I want you guys, 2 for me, and I want you to think of 3. Think of 3 things that you're naturally good at. Next, list examples of how you've used these strengths in various areas of life, in like your work, relationships, your projects. And I kind of already, I told some examples for myself. Like, I love to learn. Like, I love reading books, and I still read books now. I still love reading books by like Aristotle. And I can be slow at getting through the books. That's because I'm like dissecting them. And because there's other things to do, sometimes. And, but like, I love to learn. And that's not just from books, it's from people. I love learning about others, which makes me compassionate, right? You can say, I'm a naturally compassionate person. There's my 3rd thing. I'm naturally good at being compassionate. It sounds like you're being arrogant when you write these things down, but you're not. You're just being honest with yourself. What are you naturally good at? So then reflect on how these strengths align with the passions and talents you possess. So reflect on how these strengths align with the passions and talents you possess. So remember, your passions are like, it's what you love to do and what you're good at. So how do these strengths align with that? It's reflective. Write down anything that comes to mind whenever you get to that point. And let's move into the next section, purpose reflection. Reflect on a time when you felt deeply fulfilled or had a sense of purpose. When was a time whenever you just kind of had the aha moment where it was like, man, this feels right. Feels like something I meant to be doing, or this just felt like I felt extremely useful here. More useful than I usually feel. I've done things before and I felt useful. I'll help people out. But when I did this thing, when I did that thing, I couldn't, it's hard to put into words, but I'm asking you to, right? For me, it's when I put all those things in, I honestly think of leadership. I honestly think of leadership for me. Like, I love working with technology. I love learning. I love being, and I'm compassionate. And right now, all of those 3 things, I work into my leadership of the production team for our young adult group. We work with technology. We have to learn about how to use these pieces of technology and how to explain it to others. And then I have to be compassionate to the people that I lead whenever maybe they don't get how to run it the first time, or they mess up. And compassion in the way I explain it back to them, and explain maybe how we do it better the next time. All of those 3 things fall into that level of leadership in that role of my life. So think about how reflect on a time when you felt deeply fulfilled or had a sense of purpose. For me, that was then, and all my strengths fall in line with that. What are you doing? What were you doing at that time? Right? For me, it's leading the production team. And how can you use that experience to inform your future decisions and next steps? Like, for me, it's like, whenever you think about that, like, think about, like, what about that did you like? Was it all of it? Was it some of it? What parts of it? What parts of it did you like? And how can you use that to inform your next steps, maybe it's in your career path or entrepreneurial path? It's important stuff, guys. Next, we're going to go to your values in action. List 3 core values that you hold. For me, my values fall under Christ, right? My values fall under God the Father. And And one of the values is that to love everyone, right? Regardless of what they have done, regardless of who they are, is love everybody. Show everybody love. Because God loves me and I don't deserve it. I'm going to love everybody else, whether they quote unquote deserve it or not. And like, think about your core values, the thing that influence these core values. It means like the things that influence everything that you do. Now, next, reflect on how these values influence your decisions and how they can guide you toward your life's calling. Reflect on how these values influence your decisions and how they can guide you toward your life's calling. How do your values, like I said earlier, like whenever you go left, when you can go left or you go right, and then you make the right turn, why did you go right? What value was causing you to go that way? What value made you, last time you were at a crossroads with doing the right or the right or the wrong thing, whatever you believe those two things were, why did you choose the right thing? Or why did you feel bad whenever you did the wrong thing? What values caused you to feel that way? And how can those values inform you about your calling? All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed like me going through this quick rundown of the Discover Your Calling planning guide. Now, there's way more in there, so you guys definitely go check that out. I'm going to link to this episode. When this episode releases, I'm going to link to this episode on the forum for anybody that didn't get a chance or hadn't listened to this episode yet. You can get this explanation and a rundown of it. But yeah, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to link to the homepage of the website in the show notes of this episode, or you can go to your browser and type pursuit.of.calling and get your free planning guide. I'm really excited for you guys to get this in your hands, or I guess on your computers or phones or whatever, and experience for yourself. And if you like the planning guide, let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram. If you think it sucks, let me know. Tell me what I can fix. If you want to tell me about this episode, you can leave a comment on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give it this episode or this podcast overall a 5-star review and share it out on all your social media platforms. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.